Hi, this is Razak, financial contributor for YWO, and we're covering the week ahead. So looking at the market breakdown, we are in a state of fundamental is in play. What does that mean? We're going to get to that in just a second. But first, we're going to break down the market economic news and the major events of this week. So we start out the week on Wednesday, February 25th. From Australia, we have a core price index that's a CPI inflation report from Australia that should affect the Australian dollar, as it's been very strong versus the US dollar. And also that same day, from the United States, we have a State of the Union address. That's from the President of the United States. President Trump will be speaking to both houses, Senate and Congress, Democrats and Republicans alike. Now, this is basically a heads up on what he's done up until now and what he intends to do moving forward as well. Now then, on Friday, February 27th, from the United States, we have a Producers Price Index number coming out, and also GDP, Gross Domestic Product number coming out. Now, digesting what's going on in the markets, let's break it down by categories. Starting out with the forex symbols, yes, the US dollar is mixed almost across the board. However, the Japanese yen is relatively weak versus the US dollar, as it's above 155, although it's off of its all-time record highs of 160 versus the dollar, but relatively still in a weak environment. However, the Australian dollar is very strong versus the US dollar, as that is on record highs, as it's made back some of its lost real estate over the past couple of years. Now, in this environment, markets are really digesting the information. There's a lot of things in play right now. There are tariff wars between the United States and other countries. Supreme Court passed a ruling last week against President Trump, where if it does go by and he doesn't appeal it and it continues going this way, the US might need to refund tariffs to many countries of the tune of $175 billion. That is huge, amazing. Like, that is record-breaking, that is also market-breaking. So digesting just that in of itself is a huge number. Now, he's going to fight it, obviously, but that's something to consider as we're going into next week. Now, also looking at the international markets, the major indices are still consolidated almost across the board, besides the NASDAQ, which is showing some weakness, exposing some of the big tech stocks. Now, when we look at the stocks, and speaking of which, they're really mixed. Nothing is on its dead highs. Even Walmart, which was breaking higher after its earnings reports, did break further lower. But banks are consolidating close to their highs, while some of the tech stocks are either consolidating or a little bit weaker. For example, Microsoft has been showing some weakness as well. Now, moving over to commodities. Now, commodities are really mixed as well. We're looking at gold, as it's showing some strength and luster as it moves above that 5,100, and silver kind of picking up itself as well, while crude oil may still break out. It looks like it wants to break out, as it's in its upper range, 6-month all-time highs at $66 a barrel. Now, lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies. Now, the cryptocurrency has been hammered, and what is a little bit disconcerting, at least for now, is that they're flatlined. They're not showing any kind of move up. There's no short squeeze even to kind of get us back into the $80 range or move above. So this is a little bit disconcerting, because at this stage I would have thought it would have bounced a little bit, but it hasn't, which means one of two things. Either we're bottoming out, or there may be some still room for us to sell off. So like I said, we're in an interesting climate right now where the markets are really digesting all of this stuff that is happening internationally. Tariffs, a possible change for a new Federal Reserve chairman, as that is coming up. A possible changes to interest rate decisions from the United States as inflation has gone down. However, the stocks are still relatively strong. We're in a market where we're kind of almost expanding in a certain sense, but there are no across the board clear indication that we are in an expansive mode, both because of geopolitical issues, both because of the US, and considerably maybe coming into a conflict with Iran, and that is something to look forward to, as that may move the markets, especially some of the energy stocks or the energy commodities like crude oil, natural gas. Okay, those are the types of things that move in that type of environment, because remember, Iran produces and supplies a good percentage. I think it's about 80% of the world's oil is passed through the Strait of Hormuz. So which is just, that's the bedrock of where all this tension is kind of developing. And as the week continues, we'll see that developing as well. This is Fed Razak. I want to wish you guys a great week ahead. Thank you.